Welcome to the second segment of the Solace Show. I am Dr. Robin Donaldson, clinical psychologist, yoga instructor, widow extraordinaire, and with me today at this particular segment is Nicole Sharp, and she is the owner of Love Social. Now, I have asked her on the show today to talk about social media and the overlap with grief. And I know that I have a lot of interesting tidbits and histories and anecdotal information, but she's the expert. So I wanted to hear what her thoughts may be on, what is it like in the 21st century to lose somebody that you love, and then deal with it on social media.
Well, geez, thank you for having me in.
Absolutely,
Number one.
yes, thank you.
Social media, it is my wheelhouse. It's my area of expertise. And when folks ask me what I do on social media, sometimes I'll do the default answer, which is, I'm a social media marketer. I do marketing online. But really what I do, what I realize what I've done is I'm a facilitator of better communications online. And for my business, the majority of it, of course, has to do with how a business person communicates online with their audience, so that business person can evoke an emotion from their sphere of influence.
Right.
And normally those emotions that businesses are trying to evoke are feelings of trust, feelings of you're gonna be able to lessen your pain at Solace Club. We help you do this, and you want people to feel something to trigger them to an action. But really, when it comes to social media, everything we do online, every single person, business people and lay people alike, it is, whether it intends to have an emotional reaction or not, everything you do online is going to elicit some sort of emotional reaction from someone, for them to take notice, any type of notice whatsoever. And we get so much from social media now that that is for 40% of the people out there, that's our primary news source anymore.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah, yeah. And the average, here's a couple of bits of statistic.
I love statistics, so
okay.
tell me. Yes, lay it on me.
So the average person, the average user for social media online, both social media and web, we spend about 2 hours and 20 plus minutes per day on social media.
Wow.
The average person, so whether you're 80-year-old Nancy in Louisiana, or Nicole Sharp, who does it for a living and is on a lot more than 2 hours per day.
I was about to say, you are the outlier, right? You're way up there on another level.
Yeah, sure,
yes.
for sure. But that's a lot of time that we spend online.
Yes.
And that is where so many of us get so much information, including, I'm going to guess to say that any person that's gone online right now, because you're probably watching on Facebook or maybe LinkedIn or YouTube, you're watching this broadcast right now, whether it be live or replay, you probably found it through a social channel. And my guess is if you spent any more than 5 minutes online today scrolling through any particular news feed, you are going to be seeing a lot of emotion-evoking topics, heavy ones. You're going to see babies being born. You're going to see someone whose cancer just went into remission, and we're celebrating.
Notifications.
Yeah,
right.
Notifications, all sorts of things like that. So the chances of you being online and not having notification of someone in grief is slim to none. So the question is how do you deal with that as a person? And that's what we're here to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
So I like to recommend to my clients and people when I'm talking to them about social media, I recommend that people treat that space like any other room that you're going to walk into. And the question is, Robin, if I walk into a room and you're distressed, you're crying, you're have flat affect, whatever it is, and you tell me, like when I found out Michael passed away,
Right.
To get that notification, how would I react in person when I find this out? Well, you and I are close. We've known each other for years. We've been friends for years. So my reaction to you, and of course I was close with Michael,
Yes.
still makes me tear up after all this time.
Sure. Yeah.
My reaction to you was very, very much more, I wanted to be very much more high touch and serve you and love you and actually get service and love back, because it was my loss too.
Right.
And So as opposed to, maybe my, person that I played, bingo with, 3 years ago, if I see that she lost her husband, I'm still going to feel sadness and empathy and want to reach out to her and send her some love online. And if it's a very casual connection, I mean, some of us will just hold that little like button down till you get the choice of either the heart for we're sending you love, or we're going to do the sad little crying face.
Which wasn't around when Michael passed, by the way.
It was not. It
No,
was not.
Which is a shame, because that would have been a lot of fun.
Things change.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to want to reach out and say something to you. So what do I say? Well, what would I say to you in person?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just don't know what to say.
Right.
So maybe you just say that, oh my gosh, Robin, I cannot believe that this happened, and I don't know what to say to you other than my heart is breaking, and I love you, or whatever it is. So be honest. Now, there's some of what I like about social media that, and you being a grief expert, I love your opinion on it, but some of what I like about social media and grief is, when I'm faced with someone in person and something big happens, sometimes I want to be embraced, and sometimes maybe even 3 seconds later I want space and I want you to go away from me. And what's kind of nice about options that we have in social media when it comes to supporting people in grief is they can choose to take that love and that offer of support in their own time frame and in their own timeline. So I kind of like the idea that, maybe I'm not going to, like for you, when I found out Michael had passed away, and I assumed that you were going to, number one, have a ton of emotion, stuff that was going on, and you would also have a lot of flurry of activity happening. I knew you would have things to deal with, the logistics of funeral and notifications of friends and family member and all sorts of things. And so even at that time before, for us, it wasn't a social connection or a social media connection because we had a personal connection too. So I decided to strategically send you a text message rather than call you. And I did that not because I didn't want to speak to you, because I didn't know what to say to you. I just wanted you to be able to accept whatever I had to offer in your own time and space. So I sent you a text message, and I don't remember what it said way back when, but probably something to the effect of, I love you and I want to help you, and whatever way I can help you when you're ready for that, I'm here for you.
Sure.
Right?
A couple of different thoughts on that. Having had my own personal experiences on this, I am aware that there are varying degrees of how much information and social media people who are grieving are willing to go through. And that's a good thing. Like it's really good to be able to have that. There were days where I did not go on social media at all. It was important. I recognize that social media is a conduit. It is a way to communicate with others, like you said at the beginning. That's what you help people do, is to communicate more effectively. And in grief, giving people the information that they needed, but I wasn't ready to necessarily engage.
Yeah.
And as parts of my grief, it has been very helpful to receive that feedback from other people, of their own memories of the person that has passed away, and those other the feedback that I then get to control. So that is one of the things that I love about social media, is that the people grieving can plug in and plug out at their own discretion. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I have a feeling that we're probably on the same page about this, but there are things that you post on somebody's wall or something that is more public, and there are things that you can then send that are more private. You talk about texting. Well, texting is not, for everybody to see what you texted me. That was just for you and I.
Correct.
And you're able to do that on social media, and I think that both have their place.
Absolutely. And when I give folks the recommendation that you want to think about social media being a room that you walk into, well, there's different rooms that we walk into in someone's house, for example. So if you and I have a friend, let's think about it this way: if you and I have a friend connection, and you've accepted my friendship and connection, in person, and you've accepted me into your social area, your greeting area of your home. So that is your wall. That's your timeline. That's things that other people that might be If I come and visit you in your house and we're sitting in the living room and there's 14 other people that are sitting there and we have a conversation, it could be overheard. So I'm going to have a discussion with you in this public place,
Right.
on your wall, or and something that we're going to post where your name is associated with it. I want to think about that, like what would Robin be comfortable with me saying in front of other people?
Sure.
Right? Right?
Mhm.
So if I'm going to ask you something intimate, like, wow, how are you dealing with the loss of intimacy? And oh my gosh, you and Michael were so physically affectionate. Now, I'm not necessarily going to say that and ask that in front of a lot of other people.
Right.
Now, so that would be, like I said, something that we would say for more of a private discussion. So say you and I, ran to your, room to, help you with the, oh, let me help you with your bra that came undone. So but let's run into your room.
I love your analogies. Yes.
I know, I'm such a mom. Let me help you. I'll be your handmaiden. And if I'm in there with you in the room, then maybe that's where
Right.
we'd have a private discussion.
Sure.
So again, where we'd have a private discussion in, your room, which would maybe be your direct messaging, your text messaging, whatever it is. I know that Facebook groups, they're very similar. You can have a Facebook group for information for gathering. You can make a private family group where it's a closed group where you invite certain people in, which I think is a great thing to do. If you are the primary grief supporter for your person who just lost someone, and maybe your person that just lost someone, say your sister just lost her son. Okay, so she's a mess. She's a wreck. And she might not be the person who will be ready to say, okay, I want to set up this Facebook group where we can disseminate information to all of our family and friends. Right? So maybe if you're the primary grief supporter, you should ask your sister,
That's a key piece. Ask her first.
Yes, ask her first and say, you know what, Susan, I would love to set up a private group where we just invite in the closest family and friends. So when we disseminate information or when we have discussions and things that are more private, it's just this one central gathering hub. And for me, I am always a fan of when you don't know something, ask. And if you ask with good intention and sweet
That's
and
good,
more about
yes.
from a place of service, how can I help you? Because if I don't know, ask. But
Right.
setting up a group is a great way, in my opinion. If it's what the person in grief would like and they're okay with that, then let's do that. I had something similar happen when a friend of mine had a stroke and she was not able to communicate, and we needed to communicate with certain key people, but other things we wanted to keep private, so the ex-husband and the new girlfriend and all the rest of it wouldn't, so that my friend that had the stroke wouldn't feel intruded upon for their privacy. So similar.
It makes me think, and if I'd known that we were going to go into this area, I would have put up something for the people at home to be looking at. But the different circles of connection, and they talk about this with grief, and that you have a very small core group, and then they're the ones that I would imagine in one of these groups that you're talking about, so they can coordinate care, coordinate perhaps details of the funeral. I mean, this is ground zero folks. Like they are taking care of business.
Yeah.
And then you may have a further extended, like maybe neighbors or extended family, and they can help support the person grieving, but they can also help support the people that are doing a lot of the support at that time.
Yes.
And you can have those folks as part of the group, but as you start getting to the outer circles, that's where you don't need to include those individuals in all the information. And it does get a little challenging when people in the outside circle then get all this information, because then they're like, well, I'm not super close to this person. How am I supposed to respond? Now, we've been talking a lot about Facebook. I'm curious about your thoughts about other apps, other pieces of technology that might be helpful in supporting somebody in grief.
Okay, so I had posted about, and we talked, about briefly about this, about an app that that I love. It's just an app that I like, just in general. It's called Marco Polo. And when I kind of recommended this, I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can see. You get a little wall of faces here.
And explain what Marco Polo
okay.
is, besides like a game that I played in the pool.
In the pool,
as a
right?
kid, right?
Okay. So Marco Polo, this particular app, when I put it out there as a recommended app that I really have been enjoying for both personal and for business, and why I recommended it, someone had posted on my business page, my Love Social business page, that they loved Marco Polo. She loved Marco Polo, and they being her family group, because when they had a death in the family, and everybody came to the gathering place, back in St. Louis or whatever they went, family members in that core group all got the little Marco Polo app out. Because it's like a video messaging app, so almost like think about like almost like a walkie-talkie, where you can just leave messages back and forth. And what I love about this is intent and tone and caring can get lost in words, in written words. There's a reason why video killed the radio star, right? As great as and what did radio kill? Maybe the telegraph, right?
Sure.
The more ways we can communicate emotion and look people in the eye, the better. And what I like about this Marco Polo app is if I click on Robin Donaldson, for example. I can look right in the camera, and if I just say like, hey Robin, I was thinking about you today, in a text, it's not gonna play well. But Marco Polo, I can hit record and be like, Robin, I was really thinking about you today when I went into a convenience store and there was alligator jerky, and it made me think about the time when Michael barbecued alligator jerky with us for 4th of July. And I just, it was a warm memory and I wanted to share it. I love you. I hope you're doing well.
Aww.
Like my new dress. Whatever it is. So it becomes something that is more warm. It's an easier way to communicate intent. And again, what I like about it is, unlike a phone call where you have to pick it up, you get to open this on your own time.
Right.
And
when I'm ready to receive that heartfelt message, and especially around the time of grief, that I know that you're going to be talking about Michael, and maybe I'm not ready to hear that today.
And it archives it too. So,
nice.
unlike Facebook, where a post can get lost and maybe you're going to see it in a memory in a year from now,
Right.
you can decide to scroll back and go through and relive that at a time. And I think that was, for me, one of the things, if I may share with you really quick,
Please.
that I appreciated, because before, I think Michael was my first close adult loss. And certainly a loss of a friend, because we're at an age where, unless there's an accident or an unforeseen young illness, it's not like my mom, whose friends are starting to drop pretty predictably
at that time.
So I learned a lot about grief and how to be a grief supporter even before the Solace Club .com came up, because I didn't know what was okay and not okay, and I listened for your cues. And when I saw, for example, that that you had decided to keep Michael's Facebook page open and had invited people to share memories,
Right.
and you weren't, and me sharing memories and thoughts about the alligator, smoking the alligator for 4th of July, maybe it could make you laugh, maybe a sweet, bittersweet laugh, but that it was okay to share that. And when I came across pictures and things like that. So for me, it was a learning process, because I don't know, and I don't, of course, think that every person is going to handle a widowhood or a loss in the same way and want the same things as you did. But I was comfortable and I was happy to hear that, I can have this conversation, I can ask. And if it's not all right to have a conversation, then I know that I'm ready to hear and receive. She's not ready to have a conversation, and it's not about me and what I need. It's about what my person that I'm supporting.
And that's the piece that I'm hearing also is, you took my lead from the social media, so it could be, folks that are very close in person, but also people that may be close online or may not be physically very close, but you can still take cues from the person that is in grief. I really like that idea of, trying to do what you can, recognizing that the person in grief is doing the best that they can no matter what, and sometimes they may respond, in ways that may surprise you, But you do what you can. You let them know, you contact, you reach out, and that is definitely key.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me come on and talk
Of
about this
course.
topic. And
Yes.
it's a great topic. And yeah, when in doubt, ask and wait for that answer in the griever's timeline and follow the cues. Just pay attention.
And also remember that they will continue to grieve. Like, it'll be a year, it will be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you will still see things popping up, and that's an important piece. So thank you very much, Nicole. I appreciate it. I hope you all can join us next month, April the 9th, 12 p.m., same location.
Great. I look
Awesome.
forward to it every month.
Excellent. Thank you so much.